I tuned back into kind of Twitter and that after my drum off.
Shouldn't have done that.
Here know any of the details about this whole GameStop thing? Because I think that's probably the biggest news here.
Okay, so from what I gather, and there's a couple of channels that do it. So do you guys know what shorting is?
No.
This is to do with the stock, isn't it?
Yeah. So from my very rudimentary understanding of stock and shares, and it is very rudimentary. I'm working on it. I got a book on it. I'm trying to read it. It's very boring.
It's called Stonks.
It's called The Big Short.
It's called The Big Short. So there's a movie called The Big Short, right? And you should watch it. It's pretty good. It pretty much talks about the crash of 2008. But in that, you kind of get an understanding of how stocks and shares work. So with this story, what happened was GameStop stock is pretty terrible. Like, it's known as, what's the term they used? Niche or cultic stock. Cultic stock. No, it's called cultic stock. I mean, like, it has a brand that follows it. Like, the stock will still be worth some things anyway, almost despite itself, because of its cult status. Like, as in, like, people are still going to buy games, so the stock is still going to be worth a certain amount. So what happened was
not going to break big.
No, it was never going to like go huge, and it wasn't going to drop down to like chapter 11 or anything like that, because just by it's kind of like the way Doctor Who was. No matter how bad it got, it's still going to have its fans of Keen. So imagine. So in this case, Keen.
Yeah.
So in this case, Keen. So Keen is like the cult stock of Doctor Who, where he's going to like it no matter what. All right. So that's kind of what it is here, right? Sorry for using that excuse, Keen, but it's just funny. But yeah.
No. It's very. I'm happy to be the last one on the island when like Itchy kicks me out of the helicopter or whatever it is.
You will be last one. I think you'll even be last one on the island for Star Wars too, which is amazing.
Yeah,
anyway,
well, you'll have room. That's the positive.
I outlasted you.
They're big islands.
They are big islands.
They are big islands. So you know.
So anyway, that's the best comparison I can think of, where it's like it's still going to have its core fan base no matter what happens. So that's called cultic or niche stock, right? So that is a stock that like GameStop was since about 5 or 7 years, when the transition basically from physical media to digital went, you know. So that's kind of what they were doing. So it was never going to break bigger like that. So Reddit, and it does look like it came from Reddit, basically decided, let's just mess with people. So they decided to do what happens in the stock market anyway, where a bunch of speculators get on and they say, okay, this is the stock we're going to buy, this is worth it. Because that's how the stock market works. Basically, the value comes in perceived value, right? So the difference between a $30 stock and a $400 stock is its perceived value. And speculators can get on and decide, we all want this, so buy this now, it's important. That raise the value, sell this now, it won't. That's basically how it works. So usually that happens in private conversations, and you know, computers decide it, but people on Reddit decided, let's just do it. So they all decided to go and buy this stock, all right, which would be grand. The problem about it was there is a theory and evidence to an extent that they didn't validate the stock purchases, so they were selling stock that didn't technically exist. And this happened again and again and again, to the point that it basically bankrupted a bunch of hedge firms as a result of this. So they basically shorted the stock, sold it, then dropped the value through the floor, wiped out some hedge funds. I think it's 4 hedge funds that are wiped out. But that's a very high level overview of what actually happened.
Because like I heard just kind of snippets of it. I was basically that people just decided to inflate games. Because like I think I heard that like GameStop stock was like by yesterday was worth 140 quid at one point.
$280.
Just like this was just like on a whim Reddit decided, and that's an insane thing to comprehend. Like that's.
But here's the thing: it is and it isn't, because this is what happens in the stock market anyway. You know, in reality, there's no difference between Apple stock and stock for WeWork, right? Obviously. And WeWork is in the toilet now because of what happened. But there's fundamentally no difference between these two things, except Apple stock is valued and decided to be worth more than WeWork or Starbucks or Disney. These are all just numbers on a machine. So Reddit are like, if they can do it, well, we can do it too. And that's what happened. So this is like the first case of IRL stock trolling. which doesn't literally. It's just they all decided to buy and sell the store, to artificially inflate it and then sell it, and in that process wiped out the entire process. So the knock-on effect of this is, one, it's been shown that it can happen. Two, it can happen again, and three, it's completely legal.
Yeah.
None of this is illegal. This is all just the way it works.
Because an extreme case of stock trading.
Because it's not like it's a case where there's someone working for a stock trader forcing it to happen, which is basically why Jordan Belfort was in trouble. You know,
absolutely.
This is because it's people outside the market deciding to just bandy together and go, let's just arbitrarily drive up the price of, General Motors or whatever. And
well, the reason why they did it, the reason why they specifically did it, from what I can gather, and obviously I woke up to this last night, so I'm no expert again, but it just seems to be everywhere now. The reason why they did it was to get back at GameStop.
Yep.
Because of what GameStop have been doing. And guys, it's a lot. Like, obviously the Irish one, so, the local GameStop isn't part of this grand conspiracy. This is like top level stuff, and there's channels to talk
the
corporate, the global thing. And in America, it seems to be even worse again, where they would, they'd have a lot of this is allegedly, so let's just allegedly for educational purposes, all that kind of stuff. But there are channels to talk about it, and it's in grand detail. But they do stuff like, during the pandemic, they would make themselves an essential business. They would, raffle off shifts with TikTok videos.
I think we also.
I'd forgotten it was GameStop. Yeah. Or they had the staff had to get their own hand sanitizers, all this kind of stuff.
There was managed.
They're just working by commission, effectively.
Yeah.
It's a scummy business model by all means.
But they that was the thing, is that managers had to basically buy any PPE and stuff at one point as well for their staff. Yeah. And even then, during the pandemic, they still had to hit all of their sales targets, which is insane.
So on top of the stuff that they would do normally, it was kind of expounded upon with this crazed move towards leaning in to screw the consumer, which is what they did. Also, there's certain things like the way the PS5 was handled, the way the Xbox was handled, the whole cyberpunk thing, pre-orders, all this. It's for years they've just been getting away with this, and it seems like this was a strike back.
Personally, I have been I suppose boycotting is probably the best way of putting it. I've just been refusing to buy anything from GameStop for 4 years. When I think I noticed that they just had a general markup against any other market price.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny
even their pre-owned games are more expensive than some titles elsewhere, from some new titles.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, look, it's funny, right? Because you can go into GameStop and you can get a pre-owned game for €5 more than a new game, which makes no sense. And now even with Amazon, even with the tariffs that you may or may not get from Brexit, you're still getting a better deal. You're still getting better value.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the thing: is that when you start comparing GameStop to some of the Irish resellers that are available, even somewhere like a Smiths, or there are a few other online places where you can buy from, and the price difference is mad. I remember at one point there was between Smiths and GameStop, there was something like an €80 price difference on the Nintendo Switch at one point, which is just way too much.
Oh, yeah. The one I remember, I think it was one that actually really put the nail in the coffin for me, was there was a special edition of Bayonetta 2 when they re-released it for the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a little kind of a box thing, not a very luxurious thing. And it was because I was going to London the day it came out. So I decided, I'll see how much GameStop have it for. And while I'm in London, Game is still over there, so I'll see how much they have. Game had it for £80.
Yeah.
GameStop was £110.
Well, that's it, and I think losing Game was the big thing, because I always thought Game was way fairer than GameStop.
Yep.
GameStop.
As much as we have the kind of the resellers like your Smiths or your CEX, GameStop effectively have a sort of monopoly on first-party game sellers in Ireland.
Yeah,
absolutely. They're very much like the Starbucks of
Hey.
Hey, no, I'm only using this as an analogy. They're very much the Starbucks of game purchases here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, when you think of, like, again, it's like they're basically like McDonald's for games, like when you think of, where can I get a game easily? You think GameStop. You don't
see it's weird.
Think Smiths.
Yeah, and I'd say any physical games that I buy, full transparency, I go to Smiths.
Yeah.
I buy them in Smiths because it's like they have better deals. It's probably going to be about €20 cheaper, and you're also able to get some like if they have special editions, they usually have them. Like the last game I got in GameStop, I'll be 100% honest with you, was Ghost of Tsushima, because they had the special edition that nobody bought, which was like, cool, okay, I'm going to buy the special edition. And that was the last game I got in GameStop, and that was obviously during the pandemic, but I remember going into Smiths to try and just have a look around, and they're like, you're wearing the wrong kind of mask, and I'm like, are you for real? Like, really? We're
what kind of mask are we talking, Dara? Was it on your head?
It's a V for Vendetta mask.
No, it was a proper N95 mask, but they wanted a different one, and I'm like, you know what? If I don't need to be harassed here with like a bunch. I just think of myself, like, I don't need to be harassed here by a bunch of kids to look at games. I'm like, you know what? I can just get this on Amazon.
That's so funny. I wouldn't be brave enough to call someone on it in my shop. Like,
here's the thing. I don't even know why they were calling me. It's like, well, you want me to remove my really safe masks to put on a lesser mask? This makes no sense.
Are you sure it wasn't just some killer who'd come into the shop?
Oh man, I don't know. I was just like, I don't like. This mask was worth £35. It works. It has many filters and blocks out everything. I don't understand why you want. But yeah,
I wouldn't even put that on Smiths. I'd say that's just some weirdo that worked in your Smiths.
No, this wasn't Smiths. No, this wasn't Smiths. This was GameStop.
This was a GameStop.
This was a GameStop.
This is GameStop.
Yeah, Smiths are great. Smiths are fantastic.
Oh, forget them.
Yeah.
So that's why I was just like, and then ever since then I've just never gone.
Did they want you to replace the mask with a GameStop loyalty card? Was it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I'm just like, honestly, Kev, I was fully expecting them to go, here's a GameStop mask, and you're like, okay, at least that would make sense.
$20.
It's hidden inside the Funko Pop.
Yeah. You just bought yourself the platinum level of their loyalty service.
Their loyalty service. You know what? And I will say, I actually did have the platinum loyalty thing for about a year because it was cheaper to get SimCity with it, and it's the most useless thing on the planet. You get nothing. Like, I mean,
it's funny though, because I think the last thing I bought in GameStop was a Fallout pint glass, and
really?
Yeah, but I found like more merch in there in the last couple of years that I've wanted than I have anything else. Like, because like I just find that like when it comes to buying games, especially because like going through a period of like only having a PC game, and their PC game selection in every branch is abysmal. So like that really limited it, but it meant that like, I'd still kind of like look around, see how much things were priced at comparatively because we're going like, well, I'll probably get a PS4 at some point. So I'd still look around, and you look in other shops and you're just like, this is insane how expensive shit is in GameStop. Like,
They really do. Like, I think when you start getting games on Amazon as well, like, I know Amazon has its own problems and look, it has a ton. But when you start seeing the markup with all this stuff, you're like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like, the last
no reason.
No. So this is why Reddit hate them. Getting back to topic, and this is why Reddit were like, all right, we're gonna make sure you guys hurt, And I think it's really clever. I was watching a video today. It's saying that it's the ultimate expression of market dictating capitalism, where it's or something like militaristic capitalism, where it's just like we're gonna point the weapon at, that's usually put on people to the corporations, which is just like, wow, this is crazy that it's actually happened. So
it's mad because like I'm still actually just looking at a ticker here, and like, I mean, the price of their stock since we've been talking has been fluctuating from anywhere from as low as $331 at the moment and 337. It's just weird watching it like kind of rise and fall. Like it's mad. Like,
but see, as that's going, because there's nothing back in it and there's no like investment in its value, that's just bankrupting companies as it's happening, which is unbelievable. It's just there's no backing behind it. It's just like, oh, these are just numbers on the screen, and it really shows you, wow, this is just numbers on the screen. So I would say it's the most interesting story happening right now. Everyone is covering it from all different angles.
And I'd imagine that if something like that happened to Disney, I'd say that's exactly what they would do. And like, as much as I wouldn't like it, I'd find it very funny if what's the parent company for Warner again? AT&T. If AT&T bought all the IP for Marvel.
Oh no. Like
I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with it actually.
I wouldn't like it, but I'd find it very funny.
Like it now. This would, like, in terms of scale, this would be a much more gargantuan task than the GameStop thing. Like the GameStop thing is a case study for what happened at the